Give this just a second here. Come on in, everybody. Welcome to the live show. I am here today going to give you guys a glimpse into a really cool side hustle. So today I have with me, hold on one second. Let me just make sure I can pop this up. There we are. We're here, Jeff. All good? Okay. So today I have with me Jeff Helvin. And Jeff is my brother. Let's get Jeff up here on the screen. There we go. Oh, it says, yeah, that's us. I had to make sure. Jeff Helvin is here with us today, and today's topic is side hustles. And I'm actually going to be interviewing people that have side hustles, and they're going to share with us what they're doing, why they got into it, tell us a little bit about the money making concepts, what their investment was, and hopefully all of you guys will be able to share along and get inspired by the journey. So I have with me today Jeff Helvin, and Jeff is actually my little brother. And Jeff is the owner of a digital marketing company that I originally founded and then realized I didn't really want to be in the service industry. And so Jeff, along with my older brother, Paul Helvin, decided they would like to keep it going. So I kept a little bit of the affiliate interest in the company, no ownership, and Jeff and Paul run it. And then I realized one day that Jeff and Paul turned me down, might actually be good at real estate. So Jeff, welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Nice to have you. Can you tell us about your real estate side hustle? So why don't you start by telling us really quick, is it beneficial? Or how long have you been doing it? How long have you been doing real estate?
I've been licensed almost 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Okay, and would you say it's beneficial?
It's been outstanding. Absolutely.
Why is it beneficial?
Well, real estate is something I've been in for a while, being involved in the different companies that you've had over the years, and I've always kind of just had an interest in it anyway. I like transactions. I like investments. There's lots of things I like about real estate in general. But the beneficial part really is that it's just opened up a world of opportunities and has allowed me to, from a financial perspective, not just growing me as a person, what I've learned, but from a financial perspective, it's absolutely changed my. I don't want to say like my trajectory, like I've been growing and building, but it's changed my lifestyle. And one of the most important things for me in my life is my girls. It's all about my girls and just my family in general. But it took an investment in my own well-being, and then it went into allowing me to do more to provide for my girls. So it's been outstanding. I don't have to second guess, whether or not I can get them into piano lessons. Is it one of them, all three of them? Because I have three. Gymnastics we do. They have cheer camp, a couple times a year. All of these things, they just cost a little bit of money. Sports and education and opportunities, but and I used to have to really, I guess, pick and choose, right? One for each of them or something. But now I don't have to do that anymore. I really can just say yes and just move on, and I absolutely love it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what. Okay, so let's starting point. So a couple of years ago, you said since you've been in real estate, right?
Yep.
So I remember because I'm your sister, I made a call to you and our older brother Paul and said, "Hey, it might be cool if you guys got into real estate." And truthfully, I can't even remember why I did that or what possessed me because I've been kind of moving not out of real estate because I still have a team, but moving at my day to day things that I do in real estate outside of lead gen away. And
Yep.
so I called you and tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about that call that inspired you to create real estate as a side hustle.
Well, the funny thing is, it actually dates back further than that, because when I had originally joined you as operations of the real estate team and the marketing company, what, 9 years ago now? That I was in the real estate world and not being licensed. I wasn't dealing directly with buyers and sellers, but not being licensed almost almost felt like a little bit of a credibility thing, a certification thing. So here I am working with agents on the team and transaction coordinators and part of this whole process, but not having gone through the actual licensing. But I had a feeling that if I did get licensed, obviously I would want to start working with buyers and sellers because I do enjoy the process. I like troubleshooting. I like processes from start to finish. I like people and interacting. I like helping. So it really checks a lot of boxes. But I just remember I was overwhelmed. There was so many things I wanted to chase at the time. I was so excited about the opportunities in the real estate business and the marketing business already that I had with you. And operations is still a very natural component. And that's where I lived, So at the time, I also had three very young girls, a wife at the time, and, just building a family. So studying and testing and doing all those things to get a license just felt so complicated, like I couldn't carve out the time to do it. But anyway, so that was so it's really sat in me for ever since then. That seed was planted. But it did take when you had reached out to Paul and I and suggested that. I really think it's just because there's opportunity there. You've been successful in real estate and the team's been successful in real estate, and I think you saw that was just another layer that you could kind of bring us into being family and people that you cared about to allow us to do more for ourselves. And so it was just the right timing for me. I'm now divorced, and so like during that transition, I just really started focusing and saying yes to a lot more things. So when you brought that up, I jumped right on it. It took a little while to actually do the testing and licensing, but I did immediately say yes. I didn't really second guess that was something I wanted to do. And not because I even knew where it was going to take me at the time, but just because I was at that point in my life, like I said, there, I was just saying yes. And let's see what happens next.
Yeah, what's fascinating for those of you that don't know Jeff and I were brother and sister, and we are opposite personalities. We have a lot of things in common, but our natural behavioral style, I should say our behavioral style especially, are complete opposite. So I'm a type A personality, big and bold, move fast, blunt, cold, make decisions on the moment. And Jeff has always been more um, dot the I's, cross the T's, make a list, weigh it out, uh,
Methodical, very methodical.
methodical, great word for it. And so for him to jump on this side hustle as quick as he did actually surprised me. I expected my older brother to, and he wound up moving to another state, which makes sense why he didn't. But my younger brother, Jeff, he actually jumped right on it. Some of the things that I've observed, and you can expand on this, Jeff, is your I don't know how much of it has to do with our trip to Alaska that inspired you to live life a little bit bigger, or if it was your divorce, or if it's this side hustle or combination of all of these things. But you seem to have now gravitated more towards a quality of life mentality that you didn't have. I mean, not that you didn't ever enjoy quality of life, but everything for you was about your wife and kids, of course. And you're still very much everything's about your kids, but
Yeah.
you started adding these touches. So for example, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. You
Yep.
texted me the other day and asked me about my Kona coffee that I drink, because I shared with you that I drink coffee every day, and if I'm going to drink coffee, I want it to be good coffee. So I'm going to play around with these Kona coffees and start testing them. And I think the coffee I'm drinking is like $30 or $40 a bag. I can't remember. So it's ridiculously expensive. And you messaged me and said, "Hey, what is that Kona coffee you're drinking? I want to try that." And you ordered a bag. And I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that you did that. Like, that is not anything old Jeff, pre side hustle, pre Alaska, would have ever done for yourself or spent that
Yep.
kind of money. So tell me a little bit about that mentality.
Well, here's the biggest aha of everything, whether it was from the divorce or the trip or a culmination of everything. It's really about I just practice being present and appreciating what I have. And in doing so, it allows me to. I still have a practical side. I still drink, in the mornings, a more, regular type of coffee because it's more like it's just there every day. not because I'm drinking it to enjoy it, right? So I still have like, I understand those practical elements of things, but there's something about, when I'm going to jump back on and kind of, recap my day, and it's that's when I enjoy, a cup of coffee, right? And I drink iced coffee, but that's when I enjoy that, is during that time. And so I wanted something that's quality, right? Something that's again, that kind of helps me appreciate what I'm doing. So the ability to sit down now and just, kind of nurse that while I'm grateful for the work that I have and everything else. It's how I look at everything, and I attribute it all to just being in the now. Because right now, if I'm doing this, I want to do it well. If I have this, I want to enjoy it, right? I don't want to just have it be part of everything that already exists. So I would say that's really what it's all about. It's just that again, my girls and the piano. It's more for them to have that opportunity, and for me to not have to second guess those things. I remember the sheets, you had turned me on to the nice luxury sheets as well, and that was another one where, again, you're right. It was almost like after I did it, I was surprised I did it, right? Because that's not normally my thing, to kind of spend a little extra on those nicer things. But it's because when I lay down at night after a great day of work that I've accomplished and achieved, and again, having those things that I've fulfilled for my kids and everything else, I now can like rest easy and actually just enjoy those things. And it's, again, even little things like the sheets. I mean, my girls love to lay in the bed because it's so soft and comfortable, and whatever, it's like it just adds so much now. It's not just spending to spend because I have it. It's actually investing in things that ultimately, that I enjoy and can appreciate.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the things that having a side hustle does, that it could be because you want to pay off debt, or it could be because you want to see if you can build something else that you like more. For those of you that don't know, I was in real estate and I started a side hustle. My first side hustle was teaching and starting to sell training and build courses. And then I got into affiliate marketing, and now I'm a six-figure affiliate marketer on the side. And it turns out that now those are all my main hustle, and real estate's actually become a side hustle now for me too. But it started as my primary thing. And I started my side hustle not for additional income. I started it because there was something else that I really wanted to do. My passion was there. I was pulled there. So I had to go follow that. And then the money followed, which often happens. So regardless of the reason why we get into a side hustle, now let's talk a little bit about our day and age right now. And I don't know, Jeff, you got in, what month did you get licensed?
I was literally licensed at the end of March
Okay,
of
so March of
2020.
2020, we're
Yep.
all going into lockdown. Jeff gets
Yep.
his real estate license. And I laugh because I got into real estate in 2007, and everybody laughed at me because the market was just crashed, just dropped right out from underneath us. And I'm always telling everybody I got in when it was the hardest market in the world. Well, Jeff was like, "Here, hold my beer." I just got licensed 1 month after the lockdown. So, what did that look like for you, your first year in real estate? Well, I know that here in Nevada, real estate, we were allowed to practice real estate
Mhm.
because we were still considered essential. But what did that look like year one in 2020?
Yeah, it's funny looking back. I really, it was October the previous year when I was like committed to making that decision to get into real estate, and it took, I mean, 6 months, right, to do the testing and all that. So it certainly wasn't one of those where it's like, oh man, the pandemic's here and coming, I need to get like it was all just happened according to, design, right? How it was all supposed to be planned, supposedly. But it took probably 3 months after getting my license before I really tried to practice real estate. And I say practice real estate, meaning like actually talking to buyers and sellers and having those conversations. I didn't, jump right in, right? As Lori mentioned, I'm more methodical. So I didn't even feel confident jumping right in and just, oh, let's take a buyer or seller, see what happens, right? I like to know that whoever's trusting me with their business and their investments and those types of things, like, is getting someone who knows what they're doing, that's not timid and unseasoned. Now, I have a great team around me. The Lori Ballen team in general has a great team. We have other agents, so it was never an issue of support or opportunity, but it was kind of like, what's going to happen? People have a lot of questions right now over COVID and how that affects, and can they buy, and what's going to happen to their loans. And none of us knew any of the answers, frankly, at that time, but I certainly didn't have the history or the confidence to just spout out, oh, here's what we're seeing and here's what we think's next, that I do now. So it was definitely it was interesting, because once I got that first transaction, once I did that, as a matter of fact, was with a family member, which always helps, but I was able to, now I knew what software I'm using with tools. I knew how to follow up. I really felt like I got it, because it all makes a lot of sense to me. And once I understood that process, then it was kind of like, great, where's the next one? Now, I was in a really good opportunity in life, where the marketing business that we have, I didn't need more money, right? I was motivated by, first, the opportunity to saying yes and see what happens. But then when I started to kind of see how that would compound, I immediately paid off all my debt, which was an amazing thing after going through a divorce, and that really messed up financial stuff. But at one point, I didn't know if I'd even still be able to keep my house because of all of it. But I was able to, with this, just absolutely solidify that, not even have to question it now, which is an amazing feeling. And I think that's also part, back to our previous discussion we were having, is that allows me to be free and to be in the moment and in the now. Whereas, when we don't have a lot of opportunity, or we feel like the one opportunity we have may or may not be panning out a certain way, it really gives us a lot of stress and anxiety that clouds our ability to to enjoy what we have now. So but jumping into it, at that point I realized, COVID is just an excuse. There's still real estate transactions being done. So I think I'm very blessed and have benefited from getting my license at that time, because it kind of, made me realize, like, well, there's still transactions being done. It's still buying and selling, like it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It does affect what's happening, but it doesn't mean it can't still happen. So it really gave me a lot of strength, I guess, and confidence that this is a great thing to be in right now. This is, and forever, right? We just need to adapt and learn how to change with it.
As a business owner, so for those of you that may not know, Jeff owns ballenbrands.com. That is a website marketing company that does everything from build real estate agent websites to niche lifestyle affiliate websites, helps provide blog services and Facebook ads and Google ads. And so he does that with my brother Paul. How important, though, do you feel, Jeff, today? I know that you've watched my journey with adding the additional streams of income, and I know that you talked about repeating that. How important do you feel today in this world that it is to create a side hustle or additional streams of income?
Well, the first thing, I think it's extremely important, just like anybody would tell you to diversify a portfolio in in your financial stuff, or whatever it might be. There's something about having multiple opportunities. Now, it is a balance, right? If your side hustle, is distracting from your primary that does support you or does whatever, I understand how some people might have a challenge with that. So you have to be realistic when you do it. But what I would say is that if it's something more natural, something that you've always loved, you're passionate about, there's a lot of people right now I'm in the fitness world. I do CrossFit and those types of things. And I hear constantly about people who are getting their coaching certifications, who are, doing private lessons and things like that, if it's something you're passionate about, that about, it's the side hustle kind of is easy, right? If you just, again, say yes, right? Just follow that opportunity. You might still have this other thing that you have to do, a day job, if you will. I'm very fortunate in my career right now where everything I do is stuff that I love. I come from a background of web development and software, so doing that in the marketing business and what we do now is natural. We cater a lot to real estate agents, and I've been in the real estate industry, so having my real estate license, it's all very natural, flows together. It's very well. And Laura, you made the point too. You started teaching, right? You were in real estate and your side hustle was teaching. Like, it's because it's something you love to do. And I would encourage anybody that has kind of a more of an instinct or something that they love or appreciate to try that. Doing a side hustle, like, just buying and selling other people's stuff for some extra money or whatever, like just doing more work, um, can work. I mean, it's definitely an opportunity if you have that, but if it's something you're passionate about, I feel like it just flows more naturally and you'll get more benefit from it.
Yeah, I would say I've been an advocate of side hustles my whole life. And there was a time for me that I went through this very tough time. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a Keller Williams agent, and Gary Keller wrote the book The One Thing, and I was just getting hammered, kind of beat up by all of my by certain mentors and definitely my peers saying, you need to just focus on one thing. You need to focus on one thing. And I cannot tell you how happy I am that I did not listen to that advice. So no offense, Keller Williams people, but that diversification has helped me with all of these roller coasters. Things go up and things go down, and you never know when you're going to get hit by something like a pandemic or some people, like the lady that does my hair. I remember her talking about how beauty salons were considered non-essential, and overnight she and her husband, they had no other job. This is all they did. Luckily, they had rental properties. They did have a little bit of a side hustle with rental properties. But she was telling me they just got shut down and we're told you're not essential and you're shut. This allows some diversification if one thing is slowing down a little bit. With me, I have multiple streams, so I feel like I can just pull a lever. Like, okay, this over here is not going is not growing at a rapid rate right now because of whatever's going on in the world, so I'm going to put that one on a little bit of a back hold. So, like, for example, I stopped selling courses last year or during the pandemic. I didn't stop selling them. I still had my monthly group and some courses in there, but I stopped pushing the sales on it and emailing everybody, buy this, because it didn't feel right to me. It wasn't, everybody's on free Zooms and doing whatnot. So I was able to go over here and say, okay, I'm building these niche websites. Let me really push my affiliate marketing up for a while, because everybody wants to learn how to make money right now at home and on side hustles. So let me build that up a little bit, and the timing was right. So I personally think it's very smart, and I know that you're dabbling in a couple of things, Jeff, with that too. I do think that there's a difference between starting a side hustle either out of passion or diversify your income versus starting something because it's a shiny object, to get the squirrel syndrome. Oh, that looks good. Oh,
Yeah.
that looks good. In fact, I myself sometimes have to say, you know what? I'm shutting off YouTube because that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. I'm shutting off YouTube. Not going to watch these people for a little while, because every time I see, oh, that person's doing this with email, or that person's doing this with Facebook ads, or that person's with, then I want to drop what it is that blogging that I'm working on so actively. I want to go chase the shiny object. Oh, that looks good, and we have to watch that, right?
Yeah.
I know somebody that makes a killing selling shampoo. So what did I do? Okay, let me try selling shampoo. I knew I didn't want to sell shampoo, but I went, okay, and I right out of the gate I started making really good money doing it. But it was only a matter of a few months before I went, this isn't me. This isn't.
I think that's the perfect example, Lori. That right there is what you said. Where again, there's a such thing as an option. Oh, I can go make some money. That's a side hustle in a way. I can just. But if it's really not something you're passionate about, again, if you were in the if you were an esthetician or something like in that beauty industry and there was more of a tie to it, there'd be more, it would be easy, right? It would just flow and you'd have lots of contacts for it. And it wouldn't be a grind, but it is hard to go into something else that you don't love, right? Just because you can make some money, it tends to not last, or at least it may not lead to that overall quality of life that you can get from having the side hustle.
Exactly. So in my opinion, if you're going to start a side hustle, ha- having one that complements what you're already doing. Now, selling shampoo actually would have worked for me because I did have an extensive database of women and men because they had both products. And it was actually very easy for me to go, hey, everybody, want to jump on this call and talk about this? And here's what my hair is doing, and take pictures. And they were responding. That didn't mean I loved it. It also meant building a team, which anybody who's followed me for a few years knows that's the last thing that I wanted to do at this point in my life. So it would have been easy, but it didn't make sense for me passion wise what it really took. So the first thing is finding something that complements what you're already doing. Jeff owns a digital marketing company that happens to also service real estate agents. So getting a side hustle as a real estate agent makes sense because you're able to go, okay, these two things go together. They complement each other. It gives me validity. It helps me to understand what they're really going through. It makes perfect sense. And I think when we do that, the money tends to follow. I've seen way too many people, especially the women that get into the direct sales, from Lululemon to skincare, clothing and skincare and candles and essential oils and this, that, and the other. Some of those actually go really well together. And you can go, okay, well, these people who buy my clothes also buy skincare, also buy this, also buy this. Okay, well, if you're really gonna actively go after it, those could also make sense. But I'm probably not going to go open a laundromat tomorrow. That's probably not going to be something that goes in line with everything else. Um, Jeff, what would you say the biggest challenge has been for you starting a side hustle of real estate?
Like I said, the biggest challenge was my own expectations of, how quick to do it or what my motivation, whatever. I think we have to give ourselves permission to take it at a reasonable pace. And it's really about how bad you want it, right? I mean, you find time to make things happen if you care enough about it. With that being said, when you've got three little ones, constantly clamoring for your time too, like I had to be very purposeful about these days I focus on it and these days I don't. I tried at first to blend them, and it just doesn't really play out. So I think the biggest challenge really is just understanding most of us are going to underestimate how much it takes to get something done. But if we try to if we look at the whole picture of what all we're going to have to do, we may never get started in the first place. So bottom line is just get started, right? Just get started, find where that flow is, allow the opportunity to come, and honestly, don't have too much of an expectation around it when you start, because most of the time, my expectations were way off. But actually, I mean, I've had so much more opportunity than I ever thought I'd have getting into this. So my expectations were off in the other direction, but a lot of times our expectations can be off, in that direction that gets us disappointed, or we're down on what we're trying to do. Just give it time. And I know, talking Keller Williams and Gary Keller says, right, we underestimate we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5. And I think that's really the key. If this is something you're passionate about or have an opportunity for, just plant the seed, water the seed, allow that thing to grow. And, before you know it, it's going to look probably a lot different than you ever thought it would, but that could be an amazing thing. It could be way better than you ever expected.
Exactly. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being here today. Anybody who's watching, Jeff would love your real estate referrals in Las Vegas, Henderson, Summerlin, Boulder City, which is where we both have houses now. And if you need any website work, WordPress, Facebook ads, Google ads, blogging, any of that, reach out to my brothers also at Ballen Brands. Thanks so much, Jeff, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All
Appreciate it.
right, everybody.